All right, guys. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Melissa here. How's everybody doing? Hey, shoot the breeze with me, guys. Shoot the breeze. So, when I was growing up, a lot of times we would go over to people's houses and we would just, one thing I love doing is we would visit our relatives. So, we were all over the place. And I've talked about this before. We were in Manchester, Deerfield, the shoots, we were in Greenland, we were all over the place. Chester Rod and Gun Club, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we were, if I was not in the car listening to music with my mom, going to visit relatives, and my grandmother moved often, okay? If I wasn't visiting her where she moved, or in Hooksett with my rich relatives, or, in, East, whatever, Timbuktu, I was always somewhere. And then if not there during the week, on the weekends, we were always traveling to the bow and arrow shoots. There was always somewhere, Rochester, Chester, Raymond. Raymond, we were over there a lot because we had friends in Raymond. So I've always been like very social because we always were visiting people, always tons of people, tons of people. Like I said, I've known like probably millions of people by now. Family reunions, didn't even know who some of my relatives were. I mean, I've always been around people. So, that's what we did. That's what we did, right? We had a huge, huge social life. So, as I'm on this channel, I'm talking about a lot of stuff and I'm saying, come with me, you're welcome here. Let's talk about life. And one of the things I loved growing up is I was with my, trying to get the lighting, with my grandmother, out with my grandmother shopping like almost every day of the week it seemed. It wasn't every day, but it seemed like it. And my aunt, and, we'd be in Hooksett at Kmart, Fashion Arena. We were over there with my great-grandmother. We were in Hooksett on Zipporah Road. We were, we were just always go, go, go. So, as I have this channel, I post a lot because I think it takes hard work to build a community, and that's what I'm trying to do, build a community here for women. So what I want to talk about is what I'm up to next. Now, on top of all the work I've got going here, in the future here, I'm still doing pro-life stuff. I've still got stuff to do with a nonprofit. I still got my cleaning business to get going. I have a lot going on. But what I did today was I called for Medicaid. And, ladies, if you are in between jobs, it's the perfect time to apply for Medicaid because you're at zero. You're at zero income and you will qualify for open Medicaid, which means you will qualify for everything. And, I mean, I was on the phone for a while on hold, and I did some stuff on the side while I was on hold because I don't like to waste time. But once you talk to someone, 10, 15 minutes, especially if you're at zero, and it will go by, it goes by faster because they don't need proof of your income. So I just got totally approved for Medicaid, and what I'm going to do with this is a couple things. So first, I talked to somebody who's in the benefit department, which I've never done, like even with my kids. I've never been like, what exactly do we qualify for? I have always been on the side of I don't do doctors, always. So I haven't had insurance all my life. Well, when I was a kid, yeah, my parents paid out of pocket, right? We didn't do doctors. We just didn't do things like that when I was growing up. We didn't really do the dentist. The school dentist would usually do your teeth. So I haven't really, geez, I think I was 40-something years old before I had a cavity. It was just my mom taught me very well to brush my teeth 3 times a day, and that's the way it was. So I haven't really done doctors much except just for having my babies. I mean, I had decided to stay home after graduating from hairdressing school and take the Medicaid. Because I was pregnant, I qualified. If you were pregnant back then, you qualified. You didn't qualify unless you were pregnant or had kids. And it was for the kids. It was not for you. So when I was pregnant, I definitely took advantage of that and enjoyed a lot of prenatal care. And that's what we want when we're pregnant. You don't want to skip on that. So I enjoyed the prenatal care, and I knew, I would be getting the works done for my first son. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm scared to death having a baby. I'm scared of the pain, right? So fortunately, I did stay home. It was a great decision. I stayed home. I took the Medicaid to qualify so I could have it. And back then they were stricter with the income. And so luckily, with the way, it was so expensive to have my son, Medicaid covered everything, right? Because I had an epidural, I just had a, 3-day visit. My placenta was separating. So I'm so glad I had that. And then I took Medicaid with my second son. And, that was an easy labor, really in and out of the hospital, but I had the Medicaid. I did not worry about the cost of having children. I just didn't. And I got it all for free. And then my third one, by then, Medicaid covered home birth. No, wait a minute. No, they didn't yet. That was with my third one. We paid out of pocket for that one, which was super cheap. And then my fourth one and fifth one, they had Medicaid by then. So, I really probably paid less than $500 for 5 kids to have 5 kids. I'm always pretty frugal, so that's about all I paid. And then when they were growing up, some of them, not all of them, had immunizations, and they didn't have all of them. They didn't even have all of them. So everything was covered at the doctors with Medicaid. And then when there were times my Medicaid lapsed, I just did the low fee scaling with them. I went to at the hospital, they had a clinic where you could get low fee scaling. So that's what I did. And I paced myself between well checkups for my kids, because you don't need a lot of well checkups if your kids are healthy. So we have been blessed with a lot of health. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, once my son fell out of a tree, it was bad. He got a concussion. He was up on the top of a tree. He loved to climb trees, super hyper. He fell, and I heard that. I heard it on his head. I just turned around because I watched my kids outside when they played outside. Very protective. I had one person stop once when I was in the kitchen and try to pick up one of my sons and kidnap him, and that was pretty scary. And he knew not to go in the car with that person, so he said no, and we got really lucky with that. But I was always outside, keeping an eye on my kids, so I remember sitting in a chair, watching my kids in the yard, and I heard thump, with one of my kids, and he was laying on the ground, and I didn't know if he was okay, and he got up, but he had a concussion, and so, that was covered. We got to the hospital, he was throwing up, he couldn't do much for a couple days. I had to make sure he didn't fall asleep. So, we've had some things happen. We had another time, one of my sons went to go make a bunk bed, and he jumped on the bunk bed, and when he did, he hit his forehead on the bunk bed, and his head opened up. I think we just did, I don't know that we did. Yeah, he went to the no, he didn't do the doctors for that one. I think we were okay. It was just his forehead was bleeding a lot. And then once he was at an apple orchard, same kid. This is the same kid I'm still talking about. And he went to go get a soccer ball or something in the tree, and the limb cut his head open, so he had to go to the doctors for that. They stitched him up. But I haven't paid any medical bills. I'm trying to think what else. When my oldest went into the Army, they're like, what do you mean you have no medical injuries? Do you live in a bubble? So he's been extremely healthy, and this is just from staying home with your kids for the most part. Okay, I'm not saying some people, they have kids born with issues, but for the most part, if you're cooking, from scratch, you're making sure your kids have exercise, you're making sure they are well watched. When they're sick, especially homeschooling, they didn't have to go to school. They're sick, they get plenty of rest, you nip it in the bud. So I haven't really had to pay really any medical bills. Same with my husband. Every time my husband got hurt, I would call the hospital and say, can you give me financial aid? And so once he crashed his go-kart, once he cut his finger with a knife at the restaurant and damaged a nerve in his tendons. Once he had a spider bite. All these were free. So now it's time to take care of me a little bit better. And, with my husband's cancer, I was talking to someone about this at work, and I told him we used the catastrophic illness program. I don't think that's still in place, but again, zero, pretty much zero to raise my family. All we did was pay for a trailer, and even then I got help with rent and food and everything. So, I mean, I really haven't paid, I don't think I've really paid much at all to have my kids. And so now I fully qualify, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is going to be part of my channel. I said, I talked to benefits and said, what do I qualify for? I'd like to see a dermatologist for something on my skin. I'd like to see a dermatologist for that. I want my mammogram, which I have been waiting on. I had an appointment set up, and then work wanted me in, and I'm like, I'm going to have to do work. And I already knew I preferred Medicaid for quality care over this place that I wasn't really impressed with. So, I mean, it was a clinic. You can get in, you can get something. So I've got full benefits for that. Dental, I went next door. They're like $59 just for a cleaning, but that's cash, and I'm so cheap. And I'm like, well, I'd rather do this for free. Do you take Medicaid? And they're like, no, we don't take Medicaid. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait until I get Medicaid and then get my dental cleaning for free. So I'm so, I'm only spending money on what I want. So I didn't even want to do the $59 unless I had to. So, dental, dermatology, primary care, a mammogram. I mean, I'm getting the works, guys, because it's been so long since I've had, really good care. And I also have, when I carried my last son, I was laboring in the tub because he was on my leg. And I'm like, get him off my leg with the midwives. I'm like, he's on my leg, right? So I'm in the tub to try to deal with the pain, but that nerve right there has been bothering me recently. And especially when I'm, doing room cleaning, I'm like, my leg is killing. So I'm going to get that checked out. And then, it comes and goes. It's not a major thing. And plus I can take a lot of pain. I don't know why I can. So I'm like, I'm good with that. But what I'm going to do is they also told me it covers counseling. And I'm like, yay. I'm like, so can I get this for trauma? And they're like, yes, you can. So I'm okay. I'm fine. I've had my 2 post-abortive classes, and I'm fine, and I'm doing pro-life work. But I am going in there with the mindset that I want to see what's being offered for women with post-abortive care. So I'm going to use the Medicaid to see what they have for women when it comes to trauma counseling. And like I said, I'm fine. I've healed. I'm on here a lot because I've got a lot of work to do on here, and I'm a hard worker. But I do want to dig in some more, and I want to see what else they're doing for women, because I did have, someone say to me, oh, it really wasn't trauma. It's really not. Yeah, it is. And the medical society hasn't really called, post-abortive trauma. They haven't given it enough weight. So I want to see what's in there, and I'm going to be experimenting and taking full advantage of the Medicaid and experiment and try different counselors and see, I'm going to try homeschool this, so to say, and see what's out there for counsel and see what happens. So I'm looking forward to this. I'll be calling places today. I also asked for retro care. And so ladies, if you have bills from before, I had something from May I talked about where I had the skin rash, and I'm like, holy cow, what is it, right? And I got right over to the doctors within 2 hours, and I got some cream and antibiotics. But I'm going to the doctors for, I'm going to call them for that care and get that paid for. And then I was told, and this is a nice little nugget here for you ladies, if you have Medicaid and you still have a back bill, which I do with the mammogram that was done in New Hampshire, the county will work with you. And I didn't know this, take your Medicaid and apply it to that specific year and month. So I'm looking back to 2022, May of 2022, and getting help with that imaging, bill, and that I had gone over to the hospital for something too. So I am going to get Medicaid for that too. So make sure anything that you have in your back bills, is covered too. So that's what I got for now, guys, and I am moving forward with this. A little behind today on my exercise and everything. So I've got to change my exercise routine because I'm not at the hotel with the pool and the weights. So I'm going to be going back over to my pool in the weight room. And then if I get this hotel job, they've got a pool and stuff. So, as long as you're finding a place to get your routines in and your exercise, that's great. And I will be doing treadmill work and bicycling just to tighten up my legs a little bit more. So, and I have a friend who just entered a bikini contest, and she was saying that she's been doing the treadmill. So I'm like, yeah, that is what will do it. So that's what will tighten you up. So that's what I'm working on now, guys, and I will be talking to you in the future. I mean, I'll be having more videos posted, but in the future, I will be talking about the trauma council and seeing what's out there for women too who have had abortions. Because like I said, I want to get to work on post-abortive healing because so many women are being affected by this, so many, and I want to set up a course and a system to help women deal with this. So in order to do that, I need to be, counseled first, and then I will set up my counsel course online eventually and get that going for women so it's out there. So you don't have to pay for, counsel on your own, or if you don't, qualify for Medicaid. And I will be looking for the best of the best on counseling as I still go through the books on abortion and counsel. I will be putting just together something really good for women. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys.